First time the Grand Marshal of the Kentucky Veterans Day Parade is a woman.
WDRB's Monica Harkins introduces us to a Vietnam veteran who spent years hiding her PTSD and how she turned it into inspiration for others. We do want to warn you, though, that some of this story deals with suicide and war and may be hard to hear.
This is the picture that my mother had me take before I went to Vietnam because I honestly think she didn't think I was coming home.
Marj Graves was in her last year of nursing school in Louisville when an Army recruiter came to speak to her class.
And within just a couple of weeks, I was on active duty.
4 years later, she was a captain in the Nurse Corps. The majority of her time in orthopedics treating Vietnam soldiers, home with injuries, sometimes gruesome injuries.
He had a horrible leg wound. And it was my first shock, I guess, in nursing because the inside of his wound was filled with maggots. And of course, it took everything I had not to pass out on the spot.
Seeing how the men were returning, she felt she had to go to Vietnam.
Oh, my father was not happy at all. You know, I could use an expletive, but he said, "You have got to be kidding me." He said, "I can't believe that you would volunteer to go to a war zone."
She was 24 years old.
I could be the one that could make the difference and take care of these guys. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Graves did a year-long tour and saw a variety of battle wounds come through the hospital. But nothing could prepare her for when a helicopter crashed with 34 soldiers on board.
Every one of them were burned beyond recognition.
She was sent to go through the remains.
Trying to find dog tags, trying to find wedding rings, anything that we could do to identify who that person was so we could get the right person home to the loved ones.
A nightmare she never wanted to speak into existence.
I put that whole experience in a suitcase, turned the key on the lock, not to be opened again. I fell in love with him.
Fast forward 30 years, she'd gotten married and had 2 daughters and was working at UPS. In 2005, she was tasked with creating an emergency plan for if a UPS ship went down with passengers on board.
The months that led up to that, every time my phone rang at night, I assumed I'm getting the call that we've had a crash.
She had a family history of depression and was already seeking psychiatric outpatient care, but she couldn't shake the thoughts of her time in Vietnam.
Every time I got my hands close to my face, I'm smelling burned flesh. I go out to the airport, which I did all the time with my job at UPS, and I'm smelling jet fuel, and these guys' bodies were covered in jet fuel from the crash. And I mean, I'm taking the spiral downward.
The feelings becoming unbearable, she decided to attempt to take her own life.
I took the 18 Ambien in my hand, threw them down my throat, drank something, and immediately I'm saying, "Oh my God, what am I doing? I want to live, but I need help."
And since then, she's made it her mission to share her trauma and struggles with depression to anyone who wants to hear it.
We all experience bad things in our lives, and we should be there for one another to help and to share and to care.
In Louisville, with photojournalist Zach Crabtree, Monica Harkins, WDRB News.
Graves will be the Grand Marshal of the Kentucky Veterans Day Parade tomorrow. WDRB is a proud sponsor of the event. It's tomorrow from noon until 3 p.m. It will go down Jefferson Street from 7th to 3rd. The military vehicle display will be at 3rd and Jefferson.